Okay, I am here in 8.1 day 1 assignment down in problem number 7 where we're going to graph a linear equation. A linear equation is simply an equation that produces a line. And so here in this equation I have 4x plus y equals 5. I first need to put the equation into slope-intercept form, which we have learned is y equals mx plus b, where m tells us the slope and b tells us the y-intercept. So in this equation, I need to get y by itself. And so as you can see, it is on the left-hand side of the equation. And so I need to move this 4x to the other side. And so I would do that by subtraction, right? I would subtract 4x from both sides so that these 4x's cancel, and I am only left with y equal to, I'm going to put my x term first because in slope-intercept form, the x term comes first and then the constant. And so my x term, as you can see here, is negative 4x. So I have negative 4x. My constant term on the right-hand side of the equal sign is 5. And so this 5 is positive, so I'm going to put a plus 5 or a positive 5. Okay, so now, as you can tell, this equation right here, y equals negative 4x plus 5, that is in slope-intercept form. This right here, 4, that's going to be my m, my slope, and this 5 right here is my b, my y-intercept. Okay, now, right here it says begin with b and move with m. So if I'm going to take this equation, this linear equation, and put it on a graph on the coordinate plane, this is how I would do it. Begin with b. B and begin both start with a b. So what is b in this equation? We just identified that as 5, right? B is 5. That is where I need to begin. So I need to put a dot on 5 for the y-axis. Okay, now remember, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. So on the y-axis, I need to put a dot on 5. And so to make a dot, do you see over here in my drawing on my paintbrush, I am at a stroke thickness of 2. Go ahead and change your stroke thickness to an 8. And let's put a dot on 5. So here is 0, 0 right here, the origin. If I go up, of course, that's positive. If I go down, that's negative. So I don't want to go down. That'd be negative. I want to go up. That's positive. I want to go up to 5. So here's 5 right here. I'm going to put a dot right there. So watch. I just click. And there's a dot on 5. Okay. Now, after I begin with B, I need to move with M. Now, when I move, if you scroll down a little bit, I have a move here. After we begin with B, we move with M. M, which is slope, right, tells us rise over run. And so this slope right here, which is negative 4, let me write that as a fraction. So what would negative 4 be as a fraction? It would be negative 4 over what? Negative 4 over 1, right? So if it's negative 4 over 1, the top number of slope tells me the rise. And so if my top number of the slope is positive, I would need to go up from B. If it is negative, I would need to go down. As you can see, this is negative, so I need to go down. I'm going to be going down, okay? Then the bottom number, after I rise, either going up for positive or down for negative, then I run. Run, if the bottom number is a positive number, I'm going to go right. If it's negative, I would go left, okay? So as you can see, the bottom number, my denominator here of the slope is 1. It's a positive 1, so that would tell me to go right 1, okay? So from B, from 5, I'm going to go down 4, right 1, down 4, right 1 to make additional dots so that I can make a line, because I need at least 2 dots on the coordinate plane to make a line. So from B right here, according to my slope, I should go down 4 spaces and to the right 1. Okay, so here I'm at 5. Let's go down 4. So down 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. Okay, and I'll make a dot right there. So let me change my stroke thickness to 8 again. I went down 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right 1. Okay, I could do that again from this dot. I would go down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the right 1. Okay, now to connect these dots, I can make a line. And so over here, right below the drawing button, there's a shapes button that looks like this. I click on shapes. Okay, and then you'll see a line that looks like this. It says insert line. I click on that option. Okay, let me start from this dot. I would click here, click on this dot, and drag to the dot that I wanted to end with. I wanted to end with that dot right there. Okay, and there's my line. Okay, so on this line right here, we said the slope is -4. Okay, and the b was 5. The y-intercept was 5. So that's what I would write on the line. So I started with the equation. It was not in slope-intercept form. I put it in slope-intercept form. I identified m, the slope, which was -4. I identified b, the y-intercept, which was 5. I began with b, and I moved with m. Now, as you can see, m is negative, right? Our slope is negative. And so as I look at this line, if I were to read this from left to right, do you see how the line's going downhill as read from left to right? So we would say this line has negative slope. It's going downhill. Okay? Now on to number 8. Graph the linear equation below. So I have x minus y equals 1. So I first need to put this in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form by solving for y. So let's get y on one side and everything else on the other side. So y is on the left, so this x right here needs to be on the other side. So I need to move it by subtraction. I subtract x from both sides so that these x's will cancel. So what I'm left with on the left side is not y, it is negative y. So I bring the negative y down. I bring my equal sign down. I put my x term first. Here's my x term. It's a negative x. Here's my constant term is a positive 1. So I'm going to put a plus 1. Now, this is not slope-intercept form yet because this is what negative y is equal to. In slope-intercept form, you do not have negative y equals mx plus b. It is positive y equals mx plus b. So I need to solve for a y right here. Now, what number is in front of y? A negative what? A negative 1, right? A negative 1. So I need to divide both sides by that negative 1. So I'm going to divide this term by negative 1, this term by negative 1, and this term by negative 1. So when I divide both sides by negative 1, I'm dividing every single term in the equation by the same exact number. Okay? So these negative 1s would simplify to 1y, which is what I want. Okay? Right here I have negative 1 over negative 1. Negative 1 over negative 1 is just positive 1. So this is positive 1x, or just x. And right here I have 1 divided by negative 1. 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1. So now I'm in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b, where m, right here, what is the number in front of x? You don't see a number, right? But it's invisible. It is positive 1. So m is positive 1. That's what I can write here. M is 1. My slope is 1. What is b? B is this number right here. What is that number right there? Is that number a 1 right there? Does that say a plus 1? No, not positive 1. It is negative 1 because of the minus sign. So b is negative 1. Okay? So this equation right here is in slope-intercept form. Y equals x plus 1. I identified m. I identified b. So to graph this, I need to begin with b and then move with m. So let's begin with b. B is at negative 1. So I need to put a dot at negative 1 on the y-axis. Remember, this is the x-axis. This is the y-axis. So let me change my stroke thickness to 8 here. I'm going to put a dot on negative 1. Here's 0. Negative 1 is right below that. There's negative 1. That's where the line crosses the y-axis, is at negative 1. Okay, now to get additional dots, I need to move with m. Okay, m is 1. 1 over what? How can I write 1 as a fraction? 1 over 1, right? So remember slope. Slope m equals rise over run. The top number tells me to go up or down. So since it's a positive number, I'm going to be going up 1. And on the bottom, this number tells me to go left or right. If it's right. If it's positive, I'll go right. If it's negative, I will go left. So because it's positive 1, I will go right 1. So from B, I'm going to go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. And that's how I make my additional dots. Okay? So from B right here, I'm going to go up 1, right 1, make a dot, up 1, right 1, make a dot, up 1, right 1, make a dot. And I could continue doing that. I really only need 2 dots to make a line, but I at least want you to make 3 so that you can get the practice with it. Now, right here, I have a note that says moving up and to the right is the same thing as moving down and to the left. Okay, so what you can do here is think about moving up and to the right. What if I change the direction of both of these arrows? Instead of going up, I would go down. And instead of going to the right, I would go to the left. So up and to the right is the same thing as down and to the left. Let's see if that's true. Would that put me on the same line? Instead of going up 1, right 1, what if I go down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1? Yep, it looks like I'm on the same line. So that's true, right? Up and to the right is the same thing as down and to the left. The last step here is to connect these dots by making a line. So click on the Shapes button, click Insert Line, start at one of the dots on the end, and connect a straight line through them all. Okay, so there's a line. Now, technically, we need arrows on the end of the line because this line never ends in either direction. So technically, I would need arrows. Okay, I'm not going to be a stickler about that because I know you have to go back and do that and draw them on there. But they really need arrows on the end of the line so that it's a line, which never ends in either direction. And so that's taking this graph or this equation right here, putting it in slope-intercept form. We identified M and B. We began with B, we moved with M. So as you can see, M is positive, right? M has positive slope, right? It's the number, it's a positive 1. And so as we read this graph from left to right, the graph is going uphill. This is what a line looks like with positive slope. And number 7, we saw a line with negative slope, right? This line is going downhill. It's going downhill, has negative slope. Okay, number 9 here. X plus 4y equals 16. I need to take this equation and put it in slope-intercept form. So let's solve for y. Here's y. I need to get this x on the other side. So let's subtract x to move it to the other side. So those x's cancel. I'll bring down the 4y. 4y is equal to, put your x term first. This x term is negative, so I have negative x. Then put your constant term. My constant term is positive, so I'll put a plus 16. I need to solve for y here. I need to undo this multiplication by division, so I'll divide every term in the entire equation by 4. Every term gets divided by 4. These 4 simplify to 1, so 1 times y is y, which is what I want. That's good. So y equals, now what number is in front of x right here? Negative what? Negative 1, right? So look here, what fraction is this? What fraction is that, do you see? You got negative 1 over 4. Isn't that the fraction negative 1/4? Yep. So you got negative 1/4 x, right? Don't forget your x. You got to bring it with the term. So negative 1/4 x. And then what is this right here? You have a positive 16 over 4. What is 16 divided by 4? That's positive 4, right? So plus 4. Now this equation is in slope-intercept form. Okay, this right here is slope-intercept form. So let's identify M. This term right here, this x term has a coefficient of negative 1/4, or it has a slope of negative 1/4. It's the number being multiplied by x. This number right here is B, 4, okay? So slope is negative 1/4, and B, my y-intercept, is 4. So if we're going to graph this line, let's begin with B. B is at 4, positive 4. So remember, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. The B, the y-intercept, tells me where the line crosses the y-axis. So let's change stroke thickness to 8 here, and let's put a dot on 4, right? That's my y-intercept. So here is positive 4. That's where the line crosses the y-axis. After I begin with B, I should move with M. Move with M. So what's M again? M is negative 1/4. So negative 1/4. So in this slope, remember the top number tells me to go up or down. So if the top number is -1, that means I should go down 1. The bottom number is +4. The bottom number tells me to go right or left. If it's positive, I go right. If it's negative, I go left. So because it's +4, I would go right 4. So from B, I need to go down 1, right 4. Down 1, right 4 from B. Okay? So here's B. I'm going to go down 1, right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now remember, I can change the direction of both arrows to put a dot on the same line. And instead of going down and to the right, I can go up and to the left. Let's try that and put a dot on that same line, up and to the left from this B right here. So up 1, left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that should be on the same line. So let's connect these dots now. I'm going to go shapes, insert line, connect the lines. Okay, I can add arrows on the end to show that this is a line, never ends in either direction. And there's my line. Okay, start with the equation, put it in slope-intercept form, identify M and B, begin with B, move with M. Does this line have negative slope? Is it going downhill? That's what my M should be, right? My M tells me this should be negative slope, and it is. It's going downhill. Okay, last one here, I'll get you started. So we have this equation, let's put it in slope-intercept form. So we need to solve for y. So because y is on the left, this x needs to be on the other side. So let's subtract 3x from both sides. Subtract 3x from both sides. So those 3x's cancel. And this y term is a -6y, so that's what I bring down. -6y equal to, put your x term first. Your x term is -3x. Your constant term is +18, so I put a +18. Okay, now if I want to solve for y here, I need to divide both sides by -6 to get rid of that coefficient. So everything gets divided by -6. So those -6 simplify because -6 over -6 is 1, and 1 times y is y. That's what I want. Okay, now what is this right here? I got -3 over -6. Well, because I have a negative over a negative, I know that my result will be positive, and I have a 3 over 6. Isn't 3 over 6 or 3/6 the same as 1/2? Yeah, 3/6 would simplify to 1/2. Don't forget your x, so this is 1/2 x. What about this? You have 18 over -6. 18 divided by -6, you know, is -3. Okay, so this right here is slope-intercept form. I have y on one side, everything else on the other. Your x term is first, and then your constant. So what is m? M is the number, or the slope is the number in front of x. So this right here, 1/2, that's my slope. So I have a slope of 1/2. What's my b? B is the constant term. So that number right there, -3, that's b. Okay? So now I'm going to begin with b, and move with m. Okay, so let's begin with b. B is -3, so I'm going to put a dot on -3 on the y-axis. Okay, remember this is x-axis, this is y-axis. So -3 is 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's where the line crosses the y-axis. Next, my slope is 1/2. Slope is 1 over 2. So let's think about this. The top number would tell me to go up or down. So since it's a +1, I'm going to go up 1. The bottom number tells me to go left or right. Since it's a +2, I'm going to go right 2. So from B, this is how I will move. From B, I will move up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2, and put a dot. Okay? So let's do that. From B, I'm going to go up 1, right 2. 1, 2, put a dot. From that one, up 1, right 2, put a dot. Okay, now what if we were to go the other direction? So let's change the direction of both arrows. Instead of going up and to the right, I would go down and to the left. Down and to the left. Okay, so let's do that. From my original B, -3 here, let's go down 1, left 2. I was a little off there. Down down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, okay? And those dots should be on the same line. So now let's connect them. Shapes, insert line, and connect them. There we go. Okay, on the end of the line, I can draw arrows to show that this line never ends in either direction. And that's what the line looks like. Okay, now my slope was positive 1/2, right? So is my line going uphill as read from left to right? It is, right? So it has a positive slope, just like I expected it to. So I took the equation, I put it in slope-intercept form, I identified M and B, I began with B, and I moved with M to graph the linear equation.